No one is eliminated yet. The Lakers finally don't blow a 10-point lead. The Magic even up their series. The Pelicans are still kind of alive, and the Celtics remind us how good they are. We have to cover all of it today on Locked On NBA on the weekend. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, y'all? Happy Sunday. Congrats on making it through a great weekend. And welcome into another edition of Locked On NBA, where we cover the latest and greatest from around the association. And it is a great time to be an NBA fan because all 16 playoff teams are still alive, which means Saturday night, the Lakers, they did it. No one beats LeBron James 11 times in a row. The Lakers beat the Nuggets. The Magic are evening up their series. The Celtics look like the Celtics again. And the poor Pelicans with no Zion. They are trying their best. We'll talk about all of it today. I'm Tony East. I host Locked On Pacers. And with me today, our first time doing Locked On NBA together, he's Gavin Schall from Locked On Knicks. Gavin, on one hand, I want to say what a night in the NBA because no one got eliminated. On the other hand, every game was a blowout. Kind of a strange night.
I can't help but think after you said that, if LeBron had gone on the post-game interview and he said, you know what, Katie, no one beats LeBron James 11 times in a row. And that would have actually made it a pretty great night, like that in and of itself. So it's a shame that he missed that. I hope he hires you to do some writing for him going forward. That would have made me very happy. But let's not bury the lead here. An incredible performance by the Los Angeles Lakers, not get beaten 11 times in a row, and an incredible performance by Mr. LeBron James, age 39, didn't matter, 30 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, dominated down the stretch of this game, ducking in from the corner for dunks, ISOing mostly on Jamal Murray, but then on that final basket on Aaron Gordon, blowing by him, torching Jokic with a little in and out, getting to the rim for a layup. Great passing throughout. Felt like they got a bucket every time they went to PNR with him and Anthony Davis. D'Lo showed up, and guess what? They didn't blow a 13-point halftime lead. So hang the banner, Tony. What a night for the Lakers.
Yeah, Davis and LeBron combined 55 points, 28 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Pretty good, and what they need in this series. And they've, to their credit, they have largely been good in this series. They have looked gassed at the end of a lot of these games, and they did not have that effect today. I thought they both were really good for largely all 48 minutes, and they both played 39 minutes plus. They played the game like they had to win because they did, but they were good. I think the biggest difference in this game from some, if not all, recent games with not just this series Nuggets, but even last season in Lakers Nuggets, D'Angelo Russell made his shots. They went in. He was terrible in their last game, 0 for in the last game, 8 for 15 today. He had 21 points. He was plus 15. That was a high for the Lakers because he's actually tough to cover, and that allows him to be on the floor. Otherwise, the Nuggets just pick him apart all night. And he actually had the bucket that kind of, in my head, put the game away. And it was a lot of time to go. So I probably shouldn't have noted this, in my notes. The Lakers were up 11, and the Nuggets were kind of surging in like the late third quarter, and Rui Hachimura just botched an awful 3, way short, and ping pong offensive rebound somehow ends up in D'Lo's hands, and he just buried a 3. It was a huge shot, going up 14 again. Nuggets called timeout like 2 possessions later. Just a demoralizing bucket, and the fact that he finally hit some in-rhythm jumpers and like forced the Nuggets to guard him really finally gave the Lakers a 3-headed monster on offense. I thought he was really important in this game.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, and just timely shots. I mean, he had another 3 in the fourth quarter. I think that made it 106-87 before the Nuggets started storming back and sort of almost made it a game.
Did you think there was a chance ever in the final minutes?
It's a fair point. Before that had no. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I did not, but it was close. I just had to ask.
No, before that, like a no-look lob to LeBron. Yeah. I thought his ability to attack off the dribble was really important early in this game. Like twice beat Michael Porter Jr. like once like a hezzy and into a layup, and then had that up and under his arm. And then to your point, in that third quarter, I'm sure one of these two was the one you're referencing. Like the one, like when Jokic hit the one after the shot clock buzzer beater that made it 71-61. That felt like a little momentum for Denver. He comes right back down, hits a 3, hit another one off a cross court look from Taurean Prince. That made it 87-74. Then a step back two on MPJ, just timely shots. But it wasn't just him. And it's a testament to how good the Nuggets are that this is what the Lakers need. I mean, you need the 25, 23, and 6 from AD with his usual excellent defense. You need a near perfect game from LeBron, an efficient night from Austin Reeves. But then on top of that, like Taurean Prince hitting a three with LeBron on the bench at the end of the third quarter, Gabe Vincent hitting a three for the first time this season, seemingly. And those were the shots that just pushed Denver back enough on a night where Jamal Murray, the final stat line was good. I thought he was fantastic early in this game, was silent in the second quarter and pretty much the rest of the game. And Nikola Jokic, 33, 14, and 14. But for the first 8 minutes of the fourth quarter, he doesn't even take a shot. Lakers decided to aggressively double team him. And all that adds up to an 11-point Lakers win that, to your point, still felt tenuous inside the final minute. I guess, Tony, where we go from here, I hesitate to say, do the Lakers have a chance? So I'll phrase it this way. Do they have a chance of winning another game in this series?
I mean, here's the best home court advantage in the NBA. They have to win there twice to win the series. Not even considering another game. I mean, it's hard. They've lost to the Nuggets a million times in a row, like we've already alluded to. I would not even get close to picking them as favorites. Like, to have this happen where they finally don't have the comeback happen on their face. Mm-hmm. They had to have a lot of the stuff we already talked about happen. Anthony Davis, unbelievable. D'Lo finally made shots. And to your point about Jokic, like, I think, to me, the reason he stopped shooting so much in the fourth is he was 2 for 7 in the third, and a lot of them were, like, just barely rim out threes that you could tell frustrated him. And so he had one and late in the third where he caught it wide open from three and didn't shoot it. He, like, looked at the rim and then turned to do another action. Like that, I don't think Jokic is going to have that happen again in any other game this series where he's, like, not afraid. He's never afraid, but, like, thinks about his shot ever. And so, I mean, obviously we have the track record of them sweeping the Lakers last year and crushing them in the regular season all year as evidence. But I do not think the Lakers win Game 5. I think that they just held off their chances for one more day. But hey, the first guy to come back from a 3-1 deficit was LeBron. So why not have him be the 3-0 guy as well, right? Right.
I mean, that's an exclamation point on a GOAT or near GOAT career, depending on your perspective. I mean, it feels weird to say this, but, like, can you read into the fact that the Lakers have led 80% of this series? And I almost feel like you can't, because, like, just by the fact that Denver came back those first 3 games, it's felt like very like a predator that wants a chase. And it felt like that tonight. And they played with their food one too many times. They would have become the second team in NBA history to have a sweep after being down at halftime in all 4 games. And that was just a little bit too much to do against a duo as good as LeBron and AD. And to your point, those two have been exceptional all series long. Like that's not a new phenomena. Their pick and roll has been clicking all series long. I thought Davis was, I mean, this was clearly his best fourth quarter, even if it wasn't amazing. Like he had 2 pinpoint passes to LeBron off of short rolls that were just like savvy extra effort plays with putbacks. Like it feels like those two are going to get their points. The question is, like, can they pull this off in the fourth quarter, given all they have to carry through the first 3? And I think the reason the Lakers have no chance to win 3 in a row is you just can't expect 3 games in a row like this from D'Lo. You can't expect the role players to hit shots every single night. And that's where this all falls apart. And one monster game from Jokic, and it's all said and done. So whether it's next game or the game after that, I think Denver ultimately wraps this up.
I love that 33, 14, and 14 is not a monster.
No, that's another night for him. That's add 5 to each of those, and you're like, all right, he was good tonight.
This was within 7 in the final 2 minutes, which wasn't actually reflective of the game. But I bring that up to say they were within 7 in the last 2 minutes, and you know how many shots the Nuggets bench made in this game, Gavin?
Yeah, I know they had 5 points.
One. They made one shot as a bench group in this game.
How you want?
Jamal Murray with 23 shots to get to his 22 points, and he had 4 turnovers. 71 points in the paint for the Lakers. All of those things I kind of think are hard to imagine replicating, right? So the fact that they didn't have a chance to win, but within striking distance, I'm picking the Nuggets to win in 5. I picked them in a sweep, so I'm already wrong, but credit to Lakers. They finally beat them, and they didn't give away the lead, and they deserve. It sounds so snide to be like, they didn't give up a 10-point lead, but like they have a lot. They actually deserve credit for getting over that hump and surviving one more time. Shall we move to the other big market 17-time champion team, Boston Celtics, who reminded us that they're the Celtics still, after you tell us about somebody else, Gavin?
Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll find exactly what you're looking for with eBay Guaranteed Fit. Your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
We're back here on Locked On NBA. Thanks for making us your first listen today on the weekend. If you're diving in, hey, if you're watching Fox Sports or ESPN or your TV all day and you have to turn the volume down because of all the shouting, switch to Locked On Sports Today, free 24/7 streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you the can't miss analysis, opinions, news, and more in sports streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels at part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That's where also you can find Locked On Celtics and Locked On Heat, who will also be breaking down this game that we're about to talk about. Game 3 of Celtics Heat. This one was going to be fascinating to me. Did the Heat actually figure something out, or did they just make 23 out of 43 threes? It was definitely the latter. They were really hot in game 2, and the Celtics are way better.
It felt like a B game from the Celtics, and they were up 30-12, and it was just over, Tony. Like, it wasn't like, all right, well, like, how the Heat could have figured this out? And it makes sense because this is a Miami team that on paper should not be able to make it a series, and they don't have Jimmy Butler and they don't have Terry Rozier, and this might be sacrilegious to say. Obviously, if they could pick one, they'd pick Butler, but I almost feel like they missed Rozier more tonight because just the initiation into their offense, and obviously Tyler Hero coming off that 14 assist game was spectacular in that respect. But giving a team that has like 2 of the 4 or 5 best guard defenders in the NBA, like a clear target, and that target is not a full-time point guard in Tyler Hero, that's trouble. And it just feels like this team in Miami needs at least one more ball handler. 2 would be really, really great. They need at least one. I think they really, really miss Terry Rozier, and that's been under-discussed in this series. Just no way to generate offense. One of the ugliest first quarters you will see, and the Celtics got their drive and kick game going. Kristaps Porzingis made 3 times as many shots as he did last game in the first 3 minutes, and it was all over from there.
Yeah, Patty Mills, their most reliable bench ball handler in this game. Like, that says everything about where the Heat are, and like Jaime Jaquez has to initiate a lot. Like, it's really hard. It's really hard to generate offense in that way, and yet they made 23 threes and won a game in this series, which is already better than I thought they would do. Look, I have a take, or maybe I hate to say take. First of all, the Heat started 1 for 9 from deep in this game. It's just over at that point, right? Like, you just get buried so fast. Is a loss in that game kind of good for the Celtics? I only say that because their side of the bracket is like comically easy, right? For a path in this playoffs where it's this Heat team without Jimmy Butler and then either the Cavs or the Magic. We'll talk about them. No disrespect to them. It's a pretty easy path for, especially a 60-plus win team. Like,
Tony, I'm going to say after tonight, we can disrespect the Cavs.
Yeah, we'll get there. Oh God, that series has been hideous. Every game is just a 20-point blowout. I mean, no one wants to lose, but like, if you have a loss early like that, we're like, oh crap. Like, we're not just going to like sleepwalk through the first 2 rounds. Like, it almost feels like it'll kick them into gear, and their defense was unreal in this game against the Heat team that's normally very disciplined. So no one wants to lose. Like, this is kind of dumb, but to me, like, them losing that game could kind of be like a needed wake-up call for the rest of the postseason.
I think it. So this is the problem with the Celtics, right? That it's almost what you're describing is the team that's won 3 titles in a row, and like when the Warriors like had KD and they were just rolling, and they were like, yeah, we needed to get punched in the mouth because we were not taking this seriously coming. But Boston hasn't done anything outside. They've won a lot of games over these last 6 years. Congratulations, but haven't won anything of meaning. Obviously, have not won a title in this Double J's era, and. It feels like they have a little bit of that because Miami, like, for all of Eric Spoelstra's brilliance, for all Bam Adebayo's brilliance and ability to injure other players. I'm the Knicks host, by the way. They shouldn't have won a game in this series. There shouldn't have been a really close game in this series. So I hear you on that. I think it might be right. I'm going to say it shouldn't be necessary for the Boston Celtics. But you know what? They came out, they took care of business. They were awesome. They leveraged their athleticism on the glass, which I really liked because that's something that they didn't need to win, but kind of just did to make a point. So bravo to the Celtics. Great performance. This shouldn't be a competitive series.
Yeah, if the Heat don't make 20-plus threes in a game or Porzingis isn't a lemon in any game, I think the Celtics win every other game the rest of the series. But both of those things happened in a game, so maybe the Heat have at least a plan enough to be good enough, but there's just such a talent advantage that it's hard to dive into the intricacies of these kind of games. With Jimmy out, it's just all the time, like every lineup, the Celtics are better, right? Even when benches are in, there's mixing and matching. So they're just better. And so there's only so much the Heat can do. Let's go to the other East game. Oof. I mean, every game in this series, 20-plus point wins. It's just been, well, this was 23. Magic 112, Cavs 89. I texted Gavin during the game because I was coming back from Pacers practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at the score. I said, let's see what's going on here. And it was 50-41. The Cavs were winning. I was like, maybe they figured this out. Maybe they look better. I can't wait to get home and see it. And I get home, and it's 71-39 Magic the rest of the way. They roll in the third quarter. Franz Wagner looked like peak Franz Wagner for almost the entire game. Holy smokes, was he good. Did the Magic figure something out in Orlando? What has happened to the Cavs, Gavin? This is the weirdest series by far to me.
It was stunning just because of the way Cleveland was rolling in that first half. It was pick and roll dunk, pick and roll dunk, pick and roll dunk. All right, we're only going to have two of our stars in Mitchell Allen. Let's take him out. Garland Mobley, over and over and over again. And the Cavs' ability to figure out the two big lineup and how they can get spacing, how they can still get those rim runs, even though no one's guarding Evan Mobley in the corner, has kind of been the story of this team for 2 years running now. And it felt like this year with all the extra shooting they added, the fact that, I just remember covering that Knicks series last year. Like, you got to play off Isaac Okoro too, and just insulate the paint. And having Strus out there nominally, I know you're going to get into this later, Tony, was supposed to protect them against that. And for, 2 games of the series in the first half, it did. Donovan Mitchell was amazing. Paolo Banchero was shrinking from the spotlight. Franz Wagner was fine in that first half, but not great. It turned into a Mo Wagner mano-a-mano showdown with Evan Mobley, which is probably not what you want if you're a Magic fan. And then they fell apart. And at a certain point, this Cavs team, like, we just have to look them in the eye and say, all right, they are who they are. And that's a mentally weak basketball team. I honestly don't think I've ever used that phrase before. Maybe I'm trying to go talking head now that I'm on the national show. But I think that's the only way to describe Cleveland and a team led by Jarrett. The lights were too bright at MSG a year ago, Allen, because they just fell apart. Donovan Mitchell, who's supposed to be this postseason killer, fell apart. Didn't score in the second half, Tony.
We could spend this whole segment doing WTF Cavs offensive stats from this game. So let's do a couple.
Sure.
The Magic scored 29 points in the second quarter, which I bring up because the Cavs scored 29 points in the second half. This whole second half, they had 10 points in the third and 19 in the fourth. Do you know what year it is, Gavin, of time?
I think so, but go ahead just in case.
In 2024, the modern NBA, the Cavs took 17 threes in a game. I've seen players take that in a game. In this, what is going on? They, like, a big part of their season renaissance was like they're finally taking a bunch of threes. It was a big part of their offense. And I get that a lot of their guys who are those 3-point specialists are kind of playoff limited guys that it's tough to get out there. But, like, they have to find a way to generate more than that. Like, that is, I get it. The Magic's defense is really good. They're locked into a game plan. Jonathan Isaac alone made as many threes as the Cavs. Like, that you just lose. Like, they have to. They have the best. They probably have the best 2 offensive players in the series. Like, they cannot score 89. They can't go 4 for 17 from 3. Both numbers are alarming. The makes and the takes. It's pathetic that this is what it was, and it was such a bad second half. And I thought this would be a big, this is what the Cavs wanted. They clearly set themselves up for this series on the last night of the regular season, and they have not proved that they should have done that. They've got to find a way to, one, defend like they did in the first 2 games of the series, because that's when they were winning. And 2, actually score and have an NBA style offense and not whatever 4 for 17 is from 3. That's unbelievable.
33-5 run in the third quarter for the Magic. And I think what was shocking was just the way the Magic were able to pick out pressure points. Like, even something as simple, and this didn't happen a lot, but Markelle Fultz, going at Darius Garland and saying, I'm bigger, I'm stronger than you, I'm more athletic at the rim. And Wendell Carter Jr. saying, all right, you're not going to get out on me. I'm going to make 2 threes, as many threes as they made in the entire series. And then Franz Wagner, to your point, finding his confidence and just over and over again. He has just felt rushed this entire series. And in the second half, it clicked into place. It's like, I'm going to be taller usually than the guy that's on me. And his ability to just consistently go at that in transition for threes, like stop and pops at the foul line. The ball movement that this team had in the second, like I'm going to circle back one more time and crap on the Cavs before this is all said and done. But I think we have to appreciate the way this Magic team that got absolutely clobbered the first two games has clicked at home. We'll see if it carries over to the road game, as they haven't shown that yet. But this was really impressive from a team that all of a sudden is looking a little bit ahead of schedule.
The answer is 11 to the question you didn't ask me. 11 times in an NBA game in 2023-24, a single player took more than 17 threes in a game. That's insane. That is like comically low. One such player is Kyle Kuzma. Like, shoot, get threes. It's 2024. That just can't happen. And you're absolutely right about the Magic. And I feel bad that I focus so much on the Cavs, because credit to the Magic, who all season have grinded to be this defensive team, right? The Wolves were obviously the best team all year, but the Magic were always very threatening and very good, and they have a lot of size and versatility. And they went back to what works. I get why they tried the Isaac starting thing, but going back to the Wagner-Isaac wreck everything defensive backline has changed their fortunes. Their guards are finally playing a little better, and it helps that Franz Wagner looked like peak Franz Wagner in this game. I am psyched about the Magic. I kind of hope they win the series because they're fun to watch, even though I don't think either of these teams have a prayer against the Celtics. But the Cavs should be the better team, and they clearly have not been. It's alarming. We have to get to Thunder Pelicans after I tell you guys about the great folks over at Monopoly Go. We have got to pause here to tell you about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You've already talked about them this week, but there's so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers to trade with your friends, to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. I am a big taunter when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique minigames like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events to help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win, or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it for free on the Google Play or App Store. Game on. Back here on Locked On NBA once again. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the weekend. Check out Locked On Knicks and Locked On Pacers to hear us talk all the time about our teams that we cover that are both in the playoffs still and could be on a crash course to playing each other. We'll see. Let's finish up with the last game. I'm so bummed we don't get to watch Zion in the playoffs, because that's kind of this whole series to me. Like, I would have picked the Thunder to win pretty easily anyway, but the Pels have no chance. Their offense has not done anything in any game. They can't get, they're just not threatening at all. The first half of this game, Ingram and McCollum were both terrible for the Pelicans, and some of that is credit to the Thunder defense. Chet Holmgren is a beast on the defensive end and had the nastiest block of the postseason so far. And the Thunder win by 21 on the road. Ho-hum, they're better. I mean, there's not, this kind of feels like Celtics Heat to me now without Zion, where it's just like, yes, one team is so clearly better with the talent that there's only so many intricacies you can get into.
Yeah, I will push back on that Zion idea. I think the version of him that we saw in the Lakers game, I kind of think this might have ended up being the best series, because I think we're watching someone ascend, and it's been a slow climb up the hill for him this entire season, from the low of that play-in and saying, all right, and like even 3/4 through the season where you would look at his stat and be like, why is he averaging 5 rebounds per game? That's not enough for someone who can literally fly and is the size of a Mack truck. And he's built from that to the Pelicans. I mean, the way they were clicking down the stretch of this year, they were playing like, I don't know, the third best team in the Western Conference until Brandon Ingram got hurt. And then Brandon Ingram came back and is clearly not the same guy. But I've been almost outside of the Lakers all negative this show. And I as a Knicks fan, I'm going to throw up if I'm only positive about the Lakers. So I just want to say one nice thing about the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think most people, Tony, I don't want to speak for you, but most people saw them as a little bit of a paper tiger coming to the playoffs. And all the talk was, oh, if the Lakers like want to intentionally lose that game and then get the Thunder. And of course they'll beat the Thunder because it's LeBron and Anthony Davis. And obviously we did not get to play that hypothetical out. But after that, after a game one that could only be described as shaky, like the Thunder have just taken care of business, will carry over to the second round. I think most people, assuming it lines up the way it's going right now, would take the Mavericks in that series. And yet, like, Oklahoma City's doing what they did in the regular season. They're killing this Pelicans team that is certainly not great without Zion, but I would still say, like, for an 8 seed is pretty deep and pretty talented. And Oklahoma City, it is kind of like the Celtics Heat series, and just it didn't really feel like the Pelicans ever had a chance to win this game.
Yeah, my thing with the Pelicans is their guard play is normally okay, but not good enough to be like a high-end team. So when they have Zion and when he's post-in-season tournament, ascending, taking on that challenge, they have enough to win a lot. That's why they were the 4 seed or 5 seed, whatever, for so long. Yeah, they got up to 4, I think, before Ingram got hurt for like a day. And so when they're relying on McCollum a lot, and he was not, frankly, very good in this game, and then Alvarado, who's been very bad in this series, especially offensively, they don't get enough there. Zion would help so much in this series, certainly. And I am with you on the Thunder. You know how I knew that stuff was phony about people ducking the Nuggets from the play-in tournament? Because no one suggested the Pelicans do it. Everybody was just suggesting the Lakers do it. And I still have not heard a credible theory about why it's better to play the Nuggets in the conference finals instead of the first round. So none of that ever made sense. They're both going to lose very quickly in their series anyway. And the Thunder are awesome. And I took a huge L on the Thunder this year. I thought they'd be good, but rookies typically aren't like that impactful. Even second-year rookies can be. We've seen it with Ben Simmons and Blake Griffin. But I thought they'd be like better back-end playoff team, but not. I mean, Chet was 2 for 8 in this game, and he was awesome. His defense was incredible. He was moving the ball really well. Like, he was so good. Giddey was making shots. Shea wasn't even that amazing, and he had big numbers. Like, they're an awesome team. And as soon as J-Dub got back in from his getting smacked in the face early in the game, they just rolled. Like, it was just easy for them to they were up 14 at halftime, and they're just better. And I think I'll probably pick them over whoever they play in the second round. But my big thing with this series too that I took an L on is I thought Valanciunas would be really important. Like, the thing with these rookie centers a lot of the time, and Chet had problems with Miles Turner, so I watched it up close a lot, is like they have to learn how to defend NBA post-ups. It's way different than what you defend in college and growing up. And post-ups aren't even like that much of a thing growing up in basketball anyway. So I thought Valanciunas could be really important, not even just like a back-him-down center, but just like a hub. And that has not been the case. His minutes have gone down every game. He was 3 for 4 in this game, but minus 10 in 12 minutes. They couldn't play him at all. They had to play Larry Nance a ton, and that's not working either. And that's a credit to Chet. He's been so good, and the Thunder are just better.
No, I mean, the way Chet just stepped up over and over again to the whole Pelicans team trying to dunk on him. I thought at one point they were going to wheel out the creepy baby mascot to try and windmill on Chet. Fortunately, that didn't happen. But
King Cake Baby, where is it?
I was telling you before the show. I was there for a bachelor party, and I was just looking around. I was like, where? Like, is he just in the corner? Where's this guy? Anyways, but Chet was 2 for 8. He was the best player on the floor, borderline. Yeah. The shot making for Jalen Williams, like, it's no surprise at this point. 9 for 16. 3 for 4 from 3. And they just came at big moments, like taking advantage of mismatches, like the few times he got Alvarado on him, and it was just automatic. Like, at one point, like, Larry Nance switched onto him and he hit like a shot clock beating double pump under his arm, sidestep shot clock beating 3 later to make it 89-69 when the Pelicans were sort of making a mini push to try and get back into the game. Obviously, Shea was incredible. Giddey was the biggest development for me. 4 threes, 21, 8, and 6. Went from not playing, I think it was game 1 where he didn't play the final 11 minutes, to dominating like that. They kept going to this guard, like screen action between him and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Pelicans probably did the right thing and left him wide open. Giddey made them pay. So shout out to Josh Giddey. If he's going to shoot like that, again, the Pelicans just have no chance. This one feels like a clean sweep to me.
I agree. Let's close out with our little game we want to play. I like gimmicks, so we're doing gimmicks. The weekend gimmick this time, whatever cliche thing you want to call it, wins and fails, A's and F's. We're going with dubs and L's today. We're both going to give out one winner and one loser from the night of games. Can I go first with my winner?
Definitely. Mine is super generic, so go ahead.
Mine is a guy who actually didn't play that well tonight, but it's a big winner to me because I could tell he's figured out how to play playoff basketball. That's Paolo Banchero. Paolo Banchero was not very good in this game. He had 9 points, but he had 31 in game 3. And the big thing that has transformed with the Magic, besides Franz Wagner being awesome, is game 1, Paolo had 9 turnovers. Game 2, he had 6. He had 15 to start the series. His handle was loose. He was not, the intensity of playoff basketball was getting to him. 0 in game 3, 4 in game 4. Cleaned that up. Was a good scorer. They've won his minutes in both of these games. Paolo's a big winner for me. He's looked much more mature. It only took him 2 games to figure it out. If he can carry that into a road game for Game 5, Magic have a good chance.
All right, I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to go with the winner of the NBA the last 25 years, and that is LeBron James. There are very, very few happy endings for stars. Like it just doesn't happen. Like there's only one team that's happy at the end of every season. So inherently, you're probably not going to go out on top. But if I know this isn't the end of LeBron's career, but if he stays on the Lakers, and if it does feel like he's pretty set on staying in LA, like this might be the best version of the team that we see. This is sacrilegious to say, could be the last time we ever see LeBron in the playoffs. And on a night where like Jokic was incredible, to your point, 33, 14, and 14, like LeBron at age 39 could still be the best player on the floor going against someone at the peak of his powers, who, when it's all said and done, is probably on a trajectory to be a top 10 player in the history of the game. He got it done in a variety of ways. I won't belabor the point. I kind of talked a bit through first segment, but I just thought he was incredible tonight. I was impressed that he had enough gas down the stretch, had the signature chase down block on Jamal Murray, little bit of everything, enough for the Lakers to get a win. I don't know if people remember this game one way or another, just because it's a 4-game series versus a 5-game series, but I thought it was amazing.
Well, some dumb 6-year-old who didn't watch these games in 10 years would have said, like, oh, LeBron got swept in the first round. Like, now that doesn't happen. Now that's not a thing I'll have to hear ever in my life from someone who obviously did not watch the games. All right, I'm sticking with the game I considered the most boring of the night. Cavs Magic for my loser. Max Strus, brought to the Cavs to be the shooter, floor spacer who could really change their offense. Took 7 threes a game in the regular season, made 35% of them, hit the full court shot against the Mavs, like had some killer moments. Really good shooter at his best, was awesome in the playoffs for the Heat last year. We know his pedigree. I know Max Strus is good. In this series so far, game 1, 1 for 5 from deep. Game 2, 1 for 5 from deep. Game 3, 0 for 4 from deep. And game 4, 1 for 3 from deep. Where is Max Strus? He has to be better than this as a floor spacer, just getting the attempts up and making them for the Cavs, who brought him in, and George Niang, and found Sam Merrill to shoot. Max Strus is my L man for the night. And maybe it's on the Cavs to find him these shots, but he's not making them all series. I hate to go back to Cavs Magic twice, but I thought Max Strus would be huge for them in general right when they signed him, and he was good enough in the regular season, but has not been good enough in this series.
You know, let's make it 3 times, because I'm going Donovan
Yes!
Mitchell. The first half looked like a signature performance that, frankly, Cavs fans have been waiting 2 years for, and unfortunately are still waiting for after 18 in the first half. Does not score in the second half. I said it before, I said it again. A mentally weak team, and in the aggregate, I think he's probably the least of their issues on that front. But he's also the face of this team, and he came to Cleveland with a reputation as a playoff killer in terms of points per game, coming into his Cavs tenure, one of the top, 6 or 7 scorers in the history of the playoffs. Obviously, that's a stat that favors players in their prime, but he has not lived up to that, despite the fact that Cleveland, and just in terms of frontline talent, like, could arguably be the best supporting cast he's ever had. I know the Jazz were the 1 seed that 1 year, but at least on offense, like 3 guys who are all-stars or borderline all-stars, and yet for whatever reason, like, it's not clicking for Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland. Maybe his heart isn't all the way in it, but this is just like this is a series that is tailor-made for him to be the best guy on the floor in every single game, and he's done it once so far, and that is shocking to me.
I considered Franz Wagner, Chet Holmgren, and D'Angelo Russell for my winners category tonight. I considered Jonas Valanciunas for the losers category. And Gavin, I almost considered Jimmy Butler for having the gall to go on TV and say, I'm tired of hearing people talk about how good the Celtics are. People have been ripping the Celtics for days since the Heat beat them in game 2. Who is propping up the Celtics after that game, Jimmy Butler? Please tell me who they are. He's not playing. He obviously does not deserve to be the loser of the night. But that was my considerations. If you have any honorable mentions, if not, we can get everybody out of here.
No, I also had D'Lo and Franz for winners. For losers, I was pretty set on Donovan Mitchell.
Loser, the Suns, who now might be the first team eliminated because the Lakers survived Saturday night. Oof, that Phoenix vibes in Phoenix, not good. Well, hey, you'll hear all about that and plenty more come Monday from Jackson Gatlin as he goes around the association with the biggest stories in the NBA with our local experts, as Locked On NBA does on Monday. Gavin and Alex Wolf host Locked On Knicks. They're in the heat of battle with the Sixers in the best series of the first round so far. If you want to hear that from the Knicks perspective, that's the place to go. You can hear me on Locked On Pacers for an also good series that injuries have completely ruined in Pacers Bucks so far, and every team around the NBA. If you want off-season topics from an eliminated team or any other team in the postseason, we've got a show for you. Locked on NBA is back tomorrow. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend. See you very soon.